All right. Well, thank you again for attending today. Like I said, Keith and I are really excited. This training is designed to cover all the new features for iOS 7, iOS 8, and Android. So these are all the new things that we've done in 2014, especially the features that we think are going to be most helpful to you. Today, Keith's going to go through our new iForm menu, the drawing widget, our keyboard preferences, the URL scheme, and third-party app, our Esri widget, the Manatee Works, Zebra Printer, Node, and other upgrades. After this presentation, we are recording this session, so I'll be giving out a link. I'll host that in our Customer Success Center, as well as we'll send out an email with that link to you. And we'll also give the slides. Now, Keith, I'm going to give you the reins, so if you want to go through this, I look forward to seeing what you guys have, as well as if you guys have any questions while Keith's covering the material.
All right, thanks, Barrett. So yeah, I'm Keith Garber. I'm a solutions engineer at iFormBuilder, and I run all the testing. So anytime there's a new app or features or anything on the server, I'm the one who goes in there and tests out and tries to find all the bugs and make sure everything's working properly. So we're just going to go back, I think, between 9 months to a year about all the new features that we've just been releasing, so that we feel that will really help your workflow. And this goes from Apple and Android. So a lot of these stuff are both platforms. So I'll go ahead and just jump right into it. So our first new feature that I'm going to talk about is our iForm menu. So in the past, I'm not sure if you guys knew, but on the iPad we had the like a folder view, and on the Android and iTouches and iPhones, it was just like a standard list view. So we made that a little bit better. So I'm going to share my device here. But what it is we are in the iForm property or form properties. There's a place where you can put description and the version and color customization. So we really just wanted to make sure you guys can utilize all that.
Keith, are you showing this on your iPad?
This is my device.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, sorry. And the reflector is kind of making it look weird, so I apologize for that. So to start off, as you can see, the green and the black icon here, that's there by default. So that's the default colors of the icons. But you can really customize all the colors here. So here I have a green title here, a blue border here, and a yellow information button. And then over here for the Esri widget form, I have it blue as the title, orange as the border, and a kind of I guess a dark gray for the information. So now that we've actually used the page description, I can go into the page description here, and this is where we can actually fill out, what this form is about, what's it supposed to be used for, who some of the contacts can be, and just so forth. And then down here where it says the version, this is the version of the actual form. So how many times it's been edited by the form builder. But if you were to click on it, it'll show all the detailed information about the form. So the page ID here, the version again, the modified date, modified by, created date, and created by. And down here is where you can actually customize your own information. So if you have like someone admin contact, we put Walt Disney, and the phone number would be 123-867-5309. So you can have as many customizations there. So it just gives your users more information to work more efficiently. So that covers the iForm menu. Next is the drawing widget, which is the annotation, which has been something that our customers have been wanting for a long time, and we finally got it in for you. So this allows you to either take a picture of an image, or take a picture, or select an image as a background, and you can draw on it put some information on there, then send it up. So here I just have a picture of a car that I circled, and then I just drew a line to say damaged bumper. And then on this view, I took like a far picture, and then I got closer to this box and just wanted to show what the box looked like up close. So to give you a quick demo, I'm going to open up my drawing demo here, click the drawing widget, and here I'm going to go ahead and just select a picture here. This is one I just pulled from the web. So the idea here is if you have field workers and they're all using, you want them to use like a base template for all their images, you could just have them download this image and put it in their gallery, and they can just click on there, use a background image, and now you have your image there. So for instance, this could be a doctor's appointment. You can kind of circle where it hurts, or you can just put a little smiley face. And once you're good, you just press done. But you can also let's see, add a line here, then add a text, hand hurts. No, keep. No. Let's try this again. Done.
So Keith, one question people are asking is, now that we have the annotation feature with the drawing widget, have you noticed a difference between people using the drawing for the annotation versus just using a basic photo?
Well, hold on. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I think my internet may have went down. Can you ask that again?
Sure. So people understand that, yes, you have the ability to take photos and use the image from the form. Have you noticed that people choose to use the annotation more than, or the drawing widget more than the image widget now that you have the annotation feature?
That we haven't looked into about how many people are actually using the drawing widget versus the image widget. I mean, if you're in the field and you strictly just want to take a photo, then you wouldn't want to use the annotation widget. But I mean, this is really just for marking it up. So it's hard to say if people switched over to annotation widget just because you can do more. But it's just a great feature that people have been wanting for a long time.
Thank you. And just to reiterate everyone what Keith is saying, we've had multiple groups lately that do use the annotation to have to be able to have one image that shows the big picture as well as the smaller minute details.
Correct. Yep. So just to show off some other features, we have some other little images here that you can make bigger. You can put a box around their face. Put a timestamp here and change the font to whatever you see fit. So this really just gives you that flexibility of drawing and just annotating what you took a picture of and explaining what the picture means instead of having to create another text field and entering the data in there. And some of the other nice features is it does have like a undo button or redo. And if you just decide that the whole picture just is not good, you can just press the red trash can, clear. It all goes away. You can start fresh. So that's our new annotation widget. We're really excited about it. It's just been something that people have been wanting for a long time, and we now have it available. Next one is the keyboard. So this will allow you to select a keyboard type based on what you're using it for. So whether it be putting a number in, a URL, or an email, this will allow you to choose that appropriate keyboard. So I'm going to show off a quick demo of just kind of what the different keyboards look like compared from the iPhone to the iPad. Give me 1 second to get this connected. Sorry about this. It switched Wi-Fi network, so I have to switch back to the one that I'm using.
Sure. While that's happening, Keith, one question that came in was about why would you want to have a different keyboard preference?
Just for end user ability. So one of the big things is, if I can get it working, here we go. Yeah, again, I don't know why the reflector is making it look really weird. So if you know that like one input's going to be just a strictly number, instead of having, I'll show you real quick. So this is our default keyboard for a default text keyboard. So as you can see, it starts with being letters, and then if you want to put a number in, you have to type in over here. Oh, it's not updated. Oh, there it is. And it's more prone to errors. Whereas if you have a number pad, there it is, it's much easier to type in numbers and it's more efficient. So it's maybe not a game changer for a lot of people, but it just adds that extra end user experience. It just enhances it. So just kind of compare between the two. So this is our number and punctuation. So the phone pad will actually be a phone pad on the iTouch, whereas on the iPad it's just going to be a string of numbers at the top. Then the URL, you have to see the .com there and the slashes. So it's just those little tweaks in the actual keyboards themselves that may have data input quicker. And then the other, even though this is a little bit later on, one of our new features is the next and previous button. So we'll see these arrows here. If you press the right arrow, it'll jump to the next question. If you hit the back arrow, it'll automatically jump to the previous question. So that's something that we put in just to have the data collection process to be quicker. So and this right now is only currently works on iOS. We are planning to put an update in for Android. This just hasn't gotten there yet.
So just to be clear, I could put in a text element, but I may select a number pad to show for that text element.
Correct. Yep. So this element here, number pad text, this is actually a text element that has a number pad. So all of these are actually text elements except for this default number. This is actually a default, or this is actually a number widget. Everything else is text. And this applies to all the masking, so Social Security, the phone number and zip code, as well as text area, and number widget. Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you.
My pleasure. So the next one, just more pictures of the keyboards. So the next one is what we call URL scheme and a third-party app. So the URL scheme allows you to create a URL, and wherever you click on this URL from your device, it'll open up iForm and have data pre-populated. So to give you a quick example, so I have this form called URL scheme demo. So when I open it, it's completely blank. But if I were to go into the description and select it, let's go with single family house, you can see it actually populates the data in there based on what that URL is. And if I go back and choose another one, so let's do apartment, it'll put in more data there too. It doesn't have to even be from our app. So if I open up from mail and click on townhouse, it's going to jump right into iFormBuilder and fill this record up. So the idea is it's almost like an assigning record, but if you already know it's data, you can send an email out to team members and say, click, always start a new record with this information. So click on there and populate that information, or if you have separate addresses. So it's just more flexibility about how you can start a record.
Keith, people are really excited about this, but one of the questions that's coming in is where do they put this information?
Yes, so it's a typical URL. So let me go back to, so right here, so where it says iForm://, that's how it knows to call our app. And then with the question mark, you just need to enter the page ID, and then there's an action. So there's new, edit. I think that's it. And then you just put in the data column name. So street address equals 1234. It is URL encoded, so for a space you would need to put like a %20, which means space in for URL. And then every time you want to add a new field, you just put a ampersand, data column name equals no, ampersand, driveway equals yes. So it's like a normal URL. You just need to be able to populate that information in there.
So
and you would put that.
So you put the information in the URL. I wanted to preface that just because or go into more detail because there is a question asking for more understanding. They're stating that they're not sure where they get that information from.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So to get that information, actually I have this open right here. So each of these data column names, you just copy and paste that into the different URL schemes. So where you can see the street address, I just put street address here and equals 1234. And then if I want to add another one, I just put an ampersand, townhouse equals no. And then just continue that way. And you can just put as many data column names in there as you want.
Great, thank you, Keith. I think
that makes sense?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Thank you.
Perfect. So the next one is, which we're very excited about as well, is the third-party widget. So what this means is you can actually call other widgets within iForm. So to give you a quick example, if we go into more detail, oops. Keep pressing the wrong one.
And Keith,
so
just if you want to wait 1 second, there was another question about the URL scheme, and they asked if there's a way to auto-generate the response into an auto email from the database. With our API, is that an option? Or with any type of integration?
So you can put in any data you want. The URL, yeah, so it's just creating its own URL scheme. So however you decide to generate that URL, you can use it that way. So if you wanted, let's say you have 100 addresses that you need to send out to 10 different team members, you can generate those URLs and just send them out, and then they'll be able to click on them.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So in this same URL scheme demo, there's a widget called Back to Office. So if I click on that, it's going to open Google Maps, and it's going to give me the directions from wherever I am right now to our office in Herndon. So right now I'm in Chicago, so that just shows what path to take to go back to my office. But that's just a quick example, but there's other ways you can do it. So they can click on there and to call someone, use FaceTime. You can update a status on Facebook if you wanted to through iForm. And the most exciting part is you can actually build your own apps. Let's see, third-party widget here. So within here, I've actually coded it to call Barrett. So I'm going to click on, oops. Let me actually go back. Sorry, I didn't realize the reflector wasn't on. So I built a form called third-party widget. Click in here, and I have a element, the third-party widget. Click on there. So right now it's actually going to call Barrett if she decides to answer. Hi. So right as you can see, it opens the FaceTime, and let's say Barrett and I are done talking. Just press N, and it jumps right back into iForm. So it's almost like iForm has another app. So it's pretty seamless in that aspect. Um, and the other part that's pretty exciting is you can build your own widget. So let's say iForm just doesn't have something you need, and you just absolutely need it. So one of our coworkers, he actually spent just a couple hours on this. This was for Android, but he built a counter widget in just a couple of hours. So I'm going to hit play. I'm going to play through once. Okay, so many of you probably don't know what just happened, but the way that the third-party widget works is it's pretty seamless on going in and out of other apps. So this is our app. So where it says my first app, this is iForm. And as soon as he clicks the counter widget, it actually opens up an app he built called Counter Widget. And here he's able to use it to play. There's a plus button, a minus sign, reset, and submit. So as he's putting data in, he can just hit submit, and it goes right back into iForm. Almost looks like it's a widget within our app itself. So this is pretty exciting because he also built a stopwatch, which we don't have as well. But there's a lot of people who wanted maybe a grid form or maybe a table view and be able to enter data that way, or maybe even a distance measure. So it's really, you can build your own apps and just integrate it straight into iForm. And I mean, our guy Ben, he's not a developer, and he built this within a couple hours. So it's pretty straightforward because the Android and iOS interfaces, it's a lot of just drag and drop of just buttons. So I mean, you can see how simple this app is, but if it's something you need and saves you tons of time, then there you go. It's up and ready.
Keith, can you go into a little bit more
hit submit.
detail? Oops, I'm sorry. Keith, can you go into a little bit more detail on how you would actually add the field to the third-party widget?
Add a field to the third-party widget?
Well, I'm sorry, how do you actually create this functionality within your iForm?
Within iForm. So I don't have anything up right now. Let's see if I can. So right here, the input property is called third party. And this is, since we're using iOS, this is the FaceTime FaceTime scheme. And I'm going to go under the iOS URL scheme. So for FaceTime, it's pretty straightforward. Just FaceTime : / and then whatever the phone number is. But when you start getting into other apps, it could be like com that scheme is. Do you think that answers this question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Let's open this back up. So right, it's just another way that you can really develop better ways to collect data. If we have something that you can't find, but you know it's fairly simple, you just build it yourself and put it straight into iForm.
And just on top of that too, we found some groups that have started to use the third-party widget for the FaceTime or to call their supervisor. So maybe they're out in the field and they need some clarity on what they're supposed to be doing. You're able to default the phone number of the third-party app, so it automatically calls their supervisor. That way the user doesn't need to have their supervisor's phone number in their phone, and just they can go straight from iForm into the phone, and it'll bring them right back to iForm.
Yep, perfect example. So that's our URL scheme and a third-party widget. So, and that's just a picture of the video. So the next one we added was we call the Esri widget. And this allows you to when you create a record, you can add a record to anywhere on a map. Instead of having your GPS location be your location, you can actually choose a point on a map and say that's the data I'm taking. So to show that off, I created a form called Esri Widget Demo. So when I click on here, it's going to open up a map. And on the top right here is a plus button, just like a standard list view. Go in there. It's going to open up a window. And then I can find the blue dot is where I am because I have location services on. So I just find where I am. But let's say I want to do this corner of the lake. I hit select, and then that's the latitude and longitude of that point that I chose. So when you upload a record, you already know that you would have your GPS location, and then you also have the location data of what that point was. And for the object ID and a global ID, that's when you integrate with Esri. So if you already use ArcGIS, or you can log into iFormBuilder and have that data communicate. So when you upload this record, it's going to be automatically pushed to ArcGIS. It's going to create an object ID and a global ID, and then if you ever decide to assign this record back out, this information will be filled. But if you don't want to use ArcGIS and you just strictly want, to be for iForm, then it's the same thing. And now when you look at the map view, you can see that the record's there. If I want to go edit it, just press on it and click that little arrow and edit, and now I can change it from here.
Keith, one question is can you use an ArcGIS online map for that?
No. So we don't have any layers of maps yet. I know that's been something that we've talked about. We just haven't done it. So right now it's just, this is an Esri map, but you can't choose like the layers or be able to download things from ArcGIS in a sense, if that makes sense. Okay. Is there any questions, Barrett, for this?
So just off of that last one with the Esri map, it's just it says that's an Esri based map. He's wondering, can he use one that he's created?
No, not at this time. You can't use any layers or anything like that yet. Maybe one day, but go on. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just saying that we haven't been able to put in the layers or change your base maps on the app itself.
And what about in the map, there's a question if it can do feet and miles. And I think for that question, we need a little bit more clarification on what they're looking for, but we'll have to keep that in mind.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no, I guess, way to tell what the distance is on this map. Okay. So going on to one of our other features is something we call Manatee Works. So this is a scanning engine. So if you guys used us in the past, we've had something called a QR code widget or Red Laser. So Red Laser, they actually deprecated themselves. They didn't make an update for iOS 7. So we had to find another solution, and Manatee Works is actually a much better solution. They support tons of barcodes, and we integrate with them so you can really parse out the data. So just they support a bunch of code, 2439, ASCII code, data matrix, EAN, UPC, SBN, PDF 417, QR code 2005. To show you an example of what people use it for, so we actually have people in New Orleans who a police department called St. John's Parish, and they use it to scan driver's license. So I'm going to open up my Manatee demo, tap to scan, and I have my driver's license here. Sorry, if it wants to scan, there we go. So what I put up here is the raw data of the Manatee widget, but we have already built in a license parser. So my first name is Keith Clem and last name is Garber, and my birthday is 1988, April 12th. And to do that with the license itself was pretty straightforward. So I would have a Manatee widget here, and then I just create a bunch of text fields. So Manatee widget underscore raw, or Manatee widget.raw means it's just going to put in whatever information in there. But what we've already built in for the driver's license is Manatee widget.firstname. So that's just going to pull the first name of that license. And then this is the last name, and then Manatee widget.birthday. But there's tons of more things you can put in there. So we have address, license number, expiration date, eye color, height. So whatever is on your license, you can really parse out. And then another way that people like to use this is use as a lookup table. So I have a barcode on my license here too that I just decided to use as lookup table. So if I scan it, oops, sorry, just realized it's not showing again. So if I scan the barcode instead of that PDF, so this is my driver's license, whatever that barcode is. And then based on that barcode, I had a barcode lookup text field come up. So it knows that when this number shows, that this is what I'm looking up. And that's what a lot of people like to do, is either driver's license or using as a smart lookup table, so they can just scan a UPC code from like a food item, or a PDF 417 from a delivery, and just get the information right away and look up information from that as well. And it works really well. So if you choose like less of these and mess around with the scanner effect, the scanning can happen much quicker too, much quicker than I've shown myself. Okay. Is there any questions on that, do you see, Barrett?
Not yet.
Okay. So go down to our Zebra printer. So this is something that, again, St. John's Parish in New Orleans is using as well. So when they pull someone over, it will scan their driver's license, populate how fast they are going, and what mile, and what zone, and whatever relevant information, and then they would actually just print, and then they would print out this custom label. So right now we've integrated with the IMZ 320, 220, and there's a QLN 420, so we have a 2-inch, 3-inch, and a 4-inch. It's all over Bluetooth, and it's fairly simple to set up. If you were to want to set one up, I would highly recommend reach out to us first. That way we can kind of point you in the right direction and kind of help you with the heartaches. But it's a great hardware. I'm not sure how well you guys can see the picture, but you can see that all this data, so like the date of when it happened was on Tuesday, has my address there, has my driver's license. So it has all this information and just prints out straight from iForm. And to print, it's really easy too. So in this view, what we call the list view, if you press and hold, you'll see something called print. Now, if you actually connect it to a Zebra printer, it will automatically print that information. But since we don't, we're actually able to print using AirPrint. So it'll just print out the basic HTML view of that record. So yeah, it's just great because it's mobile, so you can walk around. If you guys ever see people that are printing off, many times they'll be Zebra printers because they're pretty huge in the printing market.
So there are
So,
two questions about
is there any
there.
questions for them, Barrett?
Yep, just two questions. One of them being, how would I integrate if I want to use a different kind of Bluetooth printer, not a Zebra printer?
So that we don't have that. The only printer that we are integrated with is Zebra, because they've given us our SDK, and it's just what we've integrated with. But however, with the third-party widget, if you wanted to build another app and send data over there and print it from that Bluetooth printer, that could be done.
Great, thank you. And then the other question is about the report. How do you customize what that looks like or how it prints?
So it only works on Windows. So there's a program called Zebra Designer, and that's where you can build your layout there. And for it to know what fields to look up, you would do like I think the table name dot element name. So yeah, Zebra Designer is where you want to build out what you want it to look like. But if you wanted actually to customize it, I would highly just recommend to reach out to us, and we can kind of help you through with that. It could be kind of a tedious process, and if you don't know enough about it, it can cause a lot of problems too. So I would just recommend just reaching out to us if you are looking into using the Zebra printer, just so we can give you better guidance.
Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to something that is coming soon is Node. And Node is a great tool. We're really excited about this one as well. So for those who don't know what Node is, it's just this, it's a little tube looking thing, and or a cylinder, and it's about, I think, 4 inches long and about, I guess, a 1 inch in diameter. And each side can be a different hardware. So I think in this particular example, this one here is a chronometer, and then this is a measures surface temperature. So each side can have its own hardware widget, and they're interchangeable. So I'm gonna have the website pulled up. Here we go. So just kind of show off like what some of the ones they have on the market now are. So they have a chronometer, which means that if you put this against like a wall or something that you want to get the paint color of, it'll tell you right away what it is. So that's one of their biggest selling features, because I think a lot of the paint stores will use it. So they'll just put it right onto the paint color, and it'll read them back what they need. A CO2, so CO2 sensor tells you how much the CO2 is. Thermocoupler, ThermoPro, so it measures the surface temperature. This one as well. So this one is like more of a laser, and this one's more of just like a wider beam. Measures air quality, flashlight. So this is almost its own weather service. So it takes like barometric pressure, room temperature, ambient light, and humidity. So that one's really cool. And they say that you can integrate other hardware if you want to build it yourself. And of course, the barcode scanner. So this one's really cool. So you can just press something on our app. It'll open up the node. You can take your reading and then go straight back into us. And this one is pretty cheap. I think they're only about $200, and then you buy the different attachments. So you can use 2 different attachments at the same time. And I know that they're developing a lot more too, which I can't really say right now, but there's more to come out. Is there any questions on the node?
Nope, no questions on the node.
Okay, perfect. And just some of the some other various upgrades that we did. So I've already talked about the next and previous, so you can quickly go between different elements. But we also added ZC display key. So for those who know what the ZC display value is, it will, when you use a pick list and you want to get whatever value was in that pick list. So if you just put in a pick list data column name, it would give you the index number. But if you use ZC display value, it would actually give you the label of that pick list. So ZC display key is a similar path. It'll grab the key value instead of the label. So again, not a huge thing, but there's some customers who wanted the key value of that pick list instead of the label. So that's just an update that we did. We also updated our range widget, which I can show a quick demo of that as well. So I'm going to open up my form. So I created 3 different range widgets. They all are top out of 100. But as you can see here, it can increment. It's incremented by 2.5, which is, this is customizable. And then this one here is going to go by 5. And then this one here is going to go 3.9. I just chose a kind of a random number. And that one's really easy to implement. Let's see, where's the... So here you'll just have like the low value and then high value. So you can put this whatever you would like. And then in the reference ID, you have a range step value equals whatever you want. So this one I put 2.5, this one's 5, and then this one's 3.9. So it's just another way to use a range widget. Then here we go. And lastly, we have multiple endpoints for post. So in the past, when you create a form and you want to post it to a web service, you can only post it to one destination. But we've changed that, I think just a month ago or 2 months ago, where you can actually have multiple endpoints. So instead of just going to, let's say, Zapier, if anybody's using it, you can go to Zapier, Salesforce, or any other custom ones. You can just build as many as you want. So there's one limitation. So if you're on a basic account, which is when you log into just www.iFormBuilder.com, you can only choose one destination. But when you get that private database, that's when you can have as many as you want. Is there any questions for that, Barrett?
No questions.
Okay. So I don't know, Barrett, if you wanted to close up on this?
Sure. Well, if anyone has any questions that we haven't covered yet, if you want to put them in the question field, I'd be happy to bring them to Keith's attention. But while you're doing that, I also want to make sure that you guys are aware of where you can actually access the recordings of these sessions as well as sign up for the future recordings. This is a link to our Customer Success Center. Once you're in the Customer Success Center, then you would go into the iFormBuilder Academy, and then you would see the different, the future sessions and the recorded sessions. We also have different support options. So maybe you love some of these great functionalities that Keith has discussed today, but maybe you don't have the time to build that out. We do have the implementation support, which you can purchase through iFormBuilder, and we can help you with that process and build forms for you, or help with some other customization options. We offer training sessions, and if you have a dedicated database, you do receive 4 hours of the Kickstart training program. If you have a dedicated database and you haven't taken part in this yet, I strongly suggest contacting me or training@iFormBuilder.com, and we'll reach out to you to make sure that you get started with your Kickstart training sessions. Also, if you have any questions, we have our email address linked here. This specific PowerPoint or this PDF will be on the link that has on the page that has the recorded session as well. So if you wanted to download this, you could. as well as on the bottom of each page that we've had in this PDF, there's a little iFormBuilder Academy logo with a hyperlink that will bring you to our Customer Success Center article that discusses that functionality. All right, Keith, we do have some more questions.
Okay.
Well, one was, would you be willing to share this PowerPoint slide with us? And yes, we will be sending that to you. The other is about the ZZ Display key. And it says, so now when you export the data, you could have it export a value instead of the label, i.e. on a scale, you could have it export values 1 through 5 instead of just the label. Like if the label was strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. So they stated that this would be helpful since they eventually run means for the scale-based questions.
Yep, absolutely. So your point in case right there where you want when you do an export, you want the key value of that, but you still want everything else to be labeled. Because so we have, let's say for Excel, there's Excel feed and Excel view. So Excel view will show the labels of all the options and the questions and all that, whereas Excel feed will actually show the data column names, the key values. So if you still want to do the data view, but you still want the key values from the option, this will allow you to do that. So yeah, that's a perfect example.
Okay, thank you, Keith. And lastly, there is a question about more information on the URL scheme and third-party app. Just to let everyone know, we do have documentation on that in our help desk, and so I'd strongly suggest taking a look at that. And if you have any more questions on the URL scheme and the third party, then either email Keith or myself, or you can also go on our iFormBuilder chat. And during that, in the iFormBuilder chat, you can ask one of our agents to give you more information on how that works.